Hello everyone and welcome to Relax TV. This is a new episode and today I am extremely excited to welcome my first external guest, Nicolas. Hi Nicolas.
Hi Mathieu, very nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and yeah, I can't wait to start talking a little bit about the LEC in Lyon.
So as you spoiler alert, Nicolas is working at Riot Games and we're going to talk a bit today about the LEC, but I will let Nicolas introduce himself. The topic of today is to discuss about a campaign that Riot did with Nestlé called the Hype Room, and this campaign just won an award in French on a Grand Prix Sports for the Strategy magazine, and so the idea was to kind of go behind the curtains of what made this campaign such an award-winning campaign. I propose that we start right now. So Nicolas, can you introduce a bit yourself and tell the audience who you are and what is it that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone, I'm Nicolas. I'm 29. I work currently at Riot Games as a business development manager for EU esports. What I'm doing right now is that I'm mostly responsible for managing all the different partners for the LEC and European Masters. So I started working at Riot 2 years ago, and before I was working also in brand partnerships, but in the music industry at Universal Music Group, where we're just when I was based in London and handling the requests from global brands to work with global artists like Imagine Dragons and the like.
Fun stuff, I imagine.
Yes.
I'd be interesting to hear more about you personally, but maybe at the end of this episode. Right now, let's focus on the topic at task. So, Lion Serial and Riot Games. I think it was a partnership that happened even before you joined. So, first question. Correct. Before we talk about the campaign as such, how did you onboard on a partnership that was pre-existing when you first joined Riot Games?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Before I joined, there weren't that many partnerships that were actually running for the LEC, which was back then the ULCS. I think the big step was just to understand everything that Lion Serials has been able to build over the past 4 years, I believe. I think you started in 2017 with in Hamburg, if I'm not mistaken, with the Wildest Fans. So it was just really about understanding, what was the legacy that Lion Serials already created among the EULCS fans, and then trying to see how we could, leverage this legacy to build something new that would also make sense in the storyline of the LEC. So yeah, it was really more about understanding and listening, and then afterwards being able to take it to the next level.
And I think so. We're going to talk about the Hype Room campaign specifically, but before this campaign, we actually had a first collaboration on the same brand, but for a campaign called No Fan No Hype. And so this campaign was to say that without fans in the stadium, the hype would not be there, and that Lion Serial would bring the fans to the stadium to enhance the experience of the show and the hype of the entire thing. But obviously 2020 arrived, and so that became a reality. How did you then adapt this existing relationship, and what was the process that led to having a brand that wanted to be partner of the fan in the stadium towards a brand that had no stadium to be a partner of?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's quite a challenge, right? But I think that it was all about going back to the original positioning of Lion Serials within the ULCS and the LEC. Our understanding of this was very much that Lion was here for enabling the fans in general to experience the wildest moments of the LEC, the strongest moments of the LEC. And once we identified this cornerstone, we were able to pivot this concept for something that was originally very much rooted to the live experience. But then as we transformed the whole LEC finals experience from physical to online, the idea was to try and see how we could, what was within this experience that was very much focused on the fans, and then afterwards that's how the Hype Room pretty much collaboration came to be, because it was our most, it was stemming from a very fans focused approach about what is the platform that allows the fans to share most of their excitement and their passion in the context of the finals. And that's pretty much how it came to be in this context. So it was all about trying to carve out what made the roots of the partnership, so that we could step away from the physical and see how we could translate that into the digital.
I think what I'm going to do now is just basically pitch the campaign. Since 2017, Lion Hurrah has been a partner of the fans, driving fans to stadiums across Europe for the finals of the LEC, and it was even before LEC was called LEC, so back then. But in 2020, there was no finals happening in the stadium for the summer split. And so we decided that if there was no stadium to keep the fan cheering, we would need to create an online stadium basically to keep that experience alive and to keep the fan engaged and not lose that thing that makes esports what it is, which is the passion, the fandom, and the hype in the stadium. And so basically, Lyon kept his sponsoring and partnership with the LEC, but instead of being a partner of the finals offline, decided to become a sponsor of the Discord server of the LEC that was just created for this very occasion. And so for people who don't know what Discord is, it's basically a mix between Slack and Skype, where you can connect offline and just not offline, but connect without a camera and just write to your friends, share GIF links and everything, but also go to specific rooms when you can have the audio on, your microphone, when you can have the camera on, and it's really a mix of this. And so LEC decided to launch their Discord server and to onboard Lyon Serial as its main partner for this new channel, and we call this the Hype Room, with the goal of keeping the hype alive. So that's basically the story. Back to you, Nicolas. You launch your Riot Games, you decide that you need to engage your core community for the esports aspect by launching a Discord LEC server. How come you agreed and wanted to onboard a partner at the very launch of a new channel?
That's a very good question. I would say, this is indeed challenging for most partners, especially new ones. What made this collaboration possible, as you can imagine, the way we work typically, maybe that's important to know. The way we work within the LEC is that we don't have a dedicated creative director or dedicated content team for BD content specifically. The way we work is that we work with the content team of the LEC. So really, they are a team of extremely professional people who have been around for 7 years, who know the product by heart, know how to speak to the audience, and they've been honing this the LEC and the ULCS for a long time, so they know exactly how to speak to the fans. As such, when that creates any collaboration we do with our own channels extremely powerful when we decide to onboard a partnership on as part of this initiative. Now, of course, what we try and do is that we not all partners we can't work with all partners in the context of an LEC produced content or collaborative content. It really has to be resonating with the objectives of the LEC at the time, and also make sense, of course, for the partner too. So in the context of Discord, it was indeed quite exciting. Imagining a setting where we had to pivot everything online, a bunch of different changes happening with the core product, which is the show. And on top of that, we're launching a brand new channel with Discord, and on top of this, we're also doing this with another partner that is Lion. So it's a recipe for a complex activation on paper. But I would say what really made it possible with Lion is just the understanding that the brand had for our audience, and the positioning that it has within the esports ecosystem. Now, typically, when we work with brands, they have a positioning that is kind of global. Is kind of is not really related to a specific industry. But the amazing thing about Lion is we already had this positioning around the fans in the esports industry specifically. So that made kind of the Discord association very natural, because we're all focused towards the same thing, which is giving a platform for fans to express themselves, and really, giving them a way to really express their fandom. So really, the core association, the core goal for both the LEC and the partner was the same, which made all the subsequent efforts towards that possible and easy to do. Yeah, that's pretty much the core of the thing. What I also say is that, of course, the experience that that Hurrah has been bringing as an esports expert, and the understanding of Discord as a platform too, also made it much easier to translate all of these to the clients, and really made it possible for all of us to operate smoothly in a very short amount of time as well.
Appreciate the compliment, but I think also what has made this campaign successful is the fact that both parties, meaning Nestlé and Riot Games, understood that what the other party was bringing to the table, and so agreed on some kind of concessions, to make gestures were made on both sides for the fans to have the experience. So, for instance, the Lion Cereals wanted to have their own Discord with their own English channel, but because it was a Riot-centric assets launched by Riot Games, then all the English channels were owned and not branded with Lion. It was really made for the LEC fans by Riot Games. But then when we went to the local markets, so French, Poland, Greece, we had then Lion as the owner of those local channels, because the brand wanted to activate those local markets, and therefore was putting more effort, was bringing influencers to those localized channels, and was improving the experience for those specific market. And I think by letting each others do what's best for their own communities, that bring to a Discord server where you could be in English, interact with English casters, and follow the stream and interact with the global community. But then if you wanted to go to a French channel, then you will talk with your French influencers, you will meet with French fellow gamers and esports fans, and the entire thing made a complete experience for the community, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We had this idea of an existing product with Discord, which was really focused on the pan-European approach. What is fantastic is, thanks to the partnership with Lion, we've been able to elevate this product and really activate the local fandoms on select markets that are both, very strong LEC audience fan bases, but also, consistent with Lion's objectives. So that overall, of course, improved the overall product, and we would not have been able to do something that was as appreciated by the fans if it weren't for the collaboration.
We came to an agreement, decided to co-launch together the Discord server between Riot Games and Lion Cereals. How did you work with Lion to have a joint asset for this announcement? I will play the asset afterwards, but if you can kind of tell the story behind having that thing created.
Yeah, we have very the way we work with partners when it comes to using the LEC entity, LEC brand guidelines is very much set. We have a set of rules that we have defined, and for the interaction between the two entities, to make sure that we create assets that really make sense for both parties without damaging any of the two brands. So I think the content that we created together is really an illustration of that, and works very well into the narrative of the whole campaign.
So I'm going to play the ad right now and then talk about it just in a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Upper. Did I do it again? Oh, I'm sorry.
So as you've seen, this video was showcasing a non-end talent of Riot Games called Quickshot, or Trevor for the first name. And so Trevor is known to be one of the main hosts, if I'm using the right term, to in the stadium to really engage with the audience and hype the crowd. So obviously the story that we created was Trevor missing the fans in the stadium and so driving the audience towards Discord. How often and how interesting is it for you, Riot Games, to bring in your talent to help your partners, activate their own audiences?
I mean, it's super interesting for us. The way we see it is that the closer we can bring the narrative of the two parties together, the better. And usually, content is a fantastic way to tell this story, and all the best when it actually also includes talents of our own to tell this story.
Mhm.
The way we work typically with partners, just to work on these, is that we it's usually a very iterative process where like either the original idea comes from the partner or from us, and then once we define the base idea, we actually work collaboratively with Quick Shots, usually, who's our point of contact for all the different talents then of the LEC, and then we hone together the scripts, and based on the objectives or the tone of the content, we actually then define together what talent makes the most sense for really hitting the mark on this content. So for the no hype no fun content and the follow up with Quick Shots, because as you said rightly, Quick Shot is pretty much the perennial figure for being the host of the LEC when it comes to announcing specifically the ceremonies of the live roadshows. It made it a very natural fit for this content about missing the fans and not being able for him also to express the hype that he usually does.
And it was really a great ad to shoot because he's really a talented guy, and so not only in broadcasting and hosting Riot Games events, but also as an actor, it was really funny. So this ad was broadcasted on stream. Lion Serial pushed it also through media buy to their own community, and so overall we had fans from 11 countries that joined the hype room and join the Discord server also, just to be there and interact with the community and be there for the finals. I have an after movie that I'm going to broadcast probably at the end of this video, but can you talk a bit from what you know, because I assume you were quite busy on the days of the finals, but do you have any insight about how the experience went for the fans on Discord during the finals?
I think it was very, very successful. As you said, this was the first time we were doing a Discord channel for the finals, and I think we saw a huge spike of fans just coming over, specifically for the finals, being able to pretty much exchange, going to the language-specific rooms as well when they were uncomfortable with the English channels. So really, it was really strong and really allowed us to understand, the potential of this platform as well. There was a lot of I think the best sign of this being a successful platform overall was the outcry from the fans that we had between the LEC finals and Worlds, where we shut down the Discord because we didn't have any events in between, and the fans still wanted to stay in the Discord and being able just to exchange with the community. It really created a sense of community that no other platform can actually do. So it's a very strong asset to think of for the future, for sure.
Good to hear. Is it okay if I share one number about the number of fans that joined the Discord? Because I never know. I'm always working on eggs on this topic, but it was really great to see that more than 8,000 fans connected to the Discord to live that experience of reproducing the hype of a stadium. And I think that number is impressive in the sense that those are people that want to be engaged and come here to be within the Discord channel to interact with LEC talents, LEC fans, with the brand. There was giveaways happening in the hype rooms channels of local countries and everything. It's like you have a small stadium within that Discord, and it was really the goal of the brand. And I think that number is kind of interesting to put that in perspective. So I'm going to play the after movie right now, just for the people to kind of see the some images about this campaign, and just after I'm going to ask you one specific question.
Fnatic or G2 will secure the most titles a team has ever had in the LEC.
Nope.
Bienvenue dans la équipe. Regarde les règles.
So back to the question I wanted to ask just before this small video. This campaign has won a sports award, right? Why do you think this can serve as a case study for partnership, like the partnership for this new age? Why is it so interesting? Why does this campaign win a sports award, do you think?
I think there are several layers to this. I would say the most obvious one, of course, is the incredible challenge of translating a positioning from a Lion that was very much rooted in the physical, with the live events. That was really the quintessence really of the partnership for Lion Serials, being able to replicate the same amount of engagement from the fans online is no easy feat at all, and so the fact that you've been able to do this, we've been able to do this, is really fantastic. To build on another number that came to mind when you were talking about the Discord fans. On average, I think every Discord fan on the LEC hype room was actually sharing over 90 text messages per day.
That's crazy.
So
per day. Oh, I was like,
per day, yeah.
Per day. I forgot this number.
Which is crazy, and shows like how much excitement there was and how much collaboration there was as well. And you've really been able to keep this very strong positioning around appealing to the core fans and letting them express themselves, and that is something that I think is a core reason as to why this activation stood out. What I would also add is that it's also a good statement for brands that have been in a given industry for a long time and reaping the benefits the longer and longer you stay in a given positioning. The best example I can think of is when I was working in at Universal. We had this kind of paradigm for brands when we say, look, you can come into music and do a one-off activation. Well, you'll be pretty much borrowing the equity of the artist, or you could actually try and truly carve out like a very specific positioning that you'll build over a long period of time. In that case, you start to become an authority in that space.
Right.
And I think that's what Lion is becoming right now. Really the authority when it comes to being the platforms of expression for the most engaged fans. And that goes to show why, the activation just felt so natural and really stood out compared to the rest.
And I think also for someone who might not be following the industry as closely as we might, what's interesting about this case is that the historic partnership between Lancer and Riot Games was really about a physical event, kind of the sports aspect of esports. When you go to the final in the stadium and there's tens of thousands of people in the stadium, right? And because Riot Games decided to keep its esports competition going during COVID, I'm interested actually to have the discussion about this just after, but because you decided that you wanted to keep this going, it means that you kept your partners engaged because you were still offering them something, but they had to adapt from activating offline to activating online. And you made that decision, and that campaign is a good example of switching also from an offline activation to a completely digital one, and successfully. And that's why I think it's interesting, because not only you kept the hype going, but one of your historical partner helped you keep that hype going also through their sponsorship. And I think that's really what excited us, at least on our side. It was to say, okay, cool, we can keep engaging the fan even if it's not offline. So I think we've spoken enough about this campaign. I'm really interested to talk more about you as a Riot employee and you as a, what's next for you, like what do you want to build within Riot. So you as an employee, so what other good thing can you tell about the evolution you've done from COVID, whether it's in the broadcast segment, whether it's through other partnership, like what it has been like since the last 6 months for you?
There's been of course a lot of changes that we had to do, right? Typically, when we work with partners in general, the beauty of working with a publisher that is not just a publisher but also a live event organizer, a broadcast partner, a social media owner, a social channel owner, is that the extent of partnership touch points that we can provide to partners is very wide. Again, comparing to the music industry, where you have one stakeholder that owns all the festivals, another one that owns the access to the music, a third one that owns the access to the actual physical person of the artist. So being able to combine all this together into one sponsorship product is pretty fantastic. But of course, the double-edged sword is that when we build one of those components, like the live experience, into the partnership packages that we sell to partners. When your two biggest events of the year stop happening, you have a problem because you have pretty much mid-flight throughout the year, and you have to find a way to pivot and still deliver on the value that the partners have bought into. So that, I think that was the biggest challenge of the year for sure, is to try and find an agreement on how what are exactly the objectives that they want to achieve thanks to the offline activation specifically, and is there a way we could actually still find a way to achieve those objectives but through different means. So all this had to happen in March. It started of course from a constraint, but I think eventually it allowed us to really elevate the product, and by adding forcing us to innovate even more and find new touch points for our partners. Typically, with a situation where we couldn't deliver on the offline events, we went back to our teams, not only in Berlin but also the dev teams in LA, and really trying to find, okay, so how can we actually be more innovative here, and I think we're really happy to have been able to deliver more, to add additional layers to our offering. I'm thinking about, for instance, the similar Rift banners we've been able to implement this year on the Rift, which is really trying to bring something that's very common in sports to the esports scene.
Yeah.
But
which,
also trying to,
from an advertising standpoint, is absolutely insane. Like,
yeah,
you would have heard that. Sorry to have interrupted you, but really, if people don't understand what that means, it's crazy. It's like sports banner, but within the broadcast, like within the game that you see. It's crazy from an advertising standpoint. Sorry to interrupt you.
Absolutely, no, it's absolutely right. And beyond that, also we are at the moment we are a digital only ecosystem. We're not a digital first. We don't have TV unless we've been in very small country, in very small markets. But it's all about the digital experience and the Twitch and YouTube experience for the fans, which is very different from the traditional sports experience that you can find in the Champions League or the Europa League. And so building into this digital first with drops, for instance, was something we were able to implement as well this year. So drops, to give a little bit of context, is whenever you are watching the LEC as a fan and you're watching like something incredible happening on the screen, then you actually are rewarded for being there at that moment with a specific reward that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And this is a fantastic way for the LEC, but also for partners to reward fans for watching and being there for moments where that are associated with the partner. So all this is aimed at, again, delivering more value to the fan experience and trying to keep the LEC ahead as much as possible from an innovative standpoint.
Yeah, and I think I don't think people realize how good of a partner you've been from those sponsors during those time, because I'm just going to paraphrase you here, but just to re-insist about how successful this has been for your partnerships. There was no event, but you decided to keep the broadcast on, which means keeping logo integration within the stream. But in addition, you installed in-game banners for sponsors to be seen. And in addition, you were like, okay, so we can still have ads running for the broadcast. So you kept producing those ads for some of your partner, or worked with the likes of us to produce the one that we've seen with a quick shot. And then you were like, okay, but that might not be enough, so let's create a Discord and have one partner on the Discord, and let's also create another digital IP, which is the drops, where, you know, fans on Twitch, if they look at something that is happening, then you can connect that event in game towards a gift that fans can have within their League of Legends game. Like, that's crazy in terms of added value for all of your partner with no stadium and no offline competition. You kept the bar super high. So again, congratulations on this.
Yeah, I mean, just to finish on this,
Yeah.
actually it's really all thanks to our production team, who has been absolutely crazy, you know, when it comes to being able to deliver a show that is extremely like a fantastic experience. First of all, when they were completely online, they created a show from their bedroom, which kind of made everything possible here. Then afterwards, also operating still at the studio with a very high quality product, with just a skeleton crew on site because of COVID restrictions. So yeah, I mean, it's really all the production team that has been able to really overly deliver on all this.
Yeah.
Made our job easy, basically.
And if I can, because I don't know exactly the production team, but still two shout outs that I want to give. One for Margot Lelaurier, who's running also the, correct me if I'm wrong, but like Call content. She's producing the video content that you broadcast afterwards. And to Zen Wong also on the publishing side, who both have been really great allies over the years to make sure whatever partnership we want to bring to the table, the craft is crazy, and the integration within the IP ownership of the publishing side is also respectful for both Riot and the partner. And I think working with Riot Games on this side of things, like through partnerships, has been really a great experience because you're all very talented. Let's conclude this discussion, Nicolas, if you want, by talking a bit about what's next for the Riot Games and you within Riot Games. So obviously we've been talking about LEC, but LEC is kind of a small word within the entire League of Legends. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're new business for esports at Riot Games Europe, right?
Correct, yes.
So we're not going to talk about gaming, so the League of Legends gaming themselves and the other games, but what's next for you with all the new 4 games that Riot has launched in addition to League of Legends? So just for people who don't know, there's Valorant, which is kind of a first-person shooter. We have Wild Rift, League of Legends Wild Rift, which is the mobile version of League of Legends, and we have Teamfight Tactic, which is kind of a board game that is connected within the League of Legends universe. And all 4 IPs, so League of Legends, Valorant, League of Legends Wild Rift, and Teamfight Tactics, all are starting to build their esports initiatives. With that said, and let's make that our conclusion, what's next for you within this entire new ecosystem?
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's been a crazy year for Riot in general. We've been able to launch I think 4 or 5 new games in this new year. So of course there's going to be an impact for the esports side of things, for sure. For now, I mean, there's been some strides on the esports side, specifically for Valorant. We are, still trying to assess exactly, where we stand from a game perspective first before moving forward. But as an EU business development team, what I can say is that the team has been increasing in numbers to being able to deliver, the same quality of partnership experience that we have for the LEC and European Masters. We want to bring that as well to the new games, and so that's why, just as a BD team, I think we were 3 last year. Now we're 6 at the end of this year. We're likely going to have more people by the end of next year. So really, it's great to see that we're able to keep scaling this ecosystem to not just be on one game, but also tailored to other genres. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty exciting 2021, and we will of course be using the same recipe that we have for the LEC, which is trying to create a very high quality product that is on par with the Riot standards, and trying to apply this same discipline to our partnerships.
And always working towards making something valuable for your communities, and I think that's the thing we should all aim for, and I know that this is what we strive to achieve every time with Hurrah. Nicolas, thank you very much. It was really great to have this discussion with you, and hopefully see you for a next award-winning campaign sometimes in 2021.